Hello. I think we should be live. Let's see. Let's see if it happens. Looks like it's kicking off. So, um, basically, just wanted to do a little live stream, and it's Friday, and haven't gotten any news yet. No Armada news yet. Surprisingly enough, from FFG, we have got lots of Legion news, however. But surprising Legion big thing was like there was no article for the Imperial specialists. Like they just didn't do one. It came out yesterday, no article. Like I had, I guess the first one in hand, and and that was just from a pre-order. That wasn't even an exclusive. It wasn't even like I guess it wasn't exclusive indirectly, but it wasn't even like a review copy. It was like I bought it and it just showed up early, and so but they didn't even do an article. Like I'm thinking, hey, Fantasy Flight, if you're watching, if you see this, if you want me to just if you just want to send me stuff and I'll do your like reporting and your previews for you, like I will do that for free. Just give me the product and give it to me early. I'll take care of it. I'll do the previews. I'll break everything down. No problem. I will be your guy for that. But yeah. But yeah, I haven't done a live stream in a little while. I've been really busy lately. It's been crazy busy, as a matter of fact. And getting busier. I'm going to Texas next week, so that's for fun. Not for a convention. I'm going for work, but that'll be fun. I'm kind of nervous about traveling right now with the government shutdown and all the airport shenanigans that are going on right now. So that's going to be really interesting. And yeah, that's about it. Still no Armada news yet. So we have I didn't think it was going to be in January based on what I heard from FFG. I'm thinking February at the earliest, maybe even March from when we finally get articles. But then again, with like this last Legion stuff, maybe they're not even concerned with doing articles. Maybe they're just going to release it, and maybe it'll show up in stores before articles even come out. I'll admit I did not pre-order a Superstar Destroyer from FFG. I'm wondering if maybe I should, because like normally I don't mind pre-ordering at MSRP on like something like a $19 expansion like the Imperial Specialists for Legion, but like a $200 one, I'm like, well, I really want to both support my local store and save like 20% off of that. So yeah, but I don't know, like if they're just gonna like surprise everybody and like SSDs just start showing up, I'm just really curious how that's gonna work out, So, I just, I'm excited. I mean, I'm excited for a lot of things that should be coming. Oh goodness, we've got little things going off. No, I'm excited about a lot of coming out soon. We've got some X-Wing Wave 3 stuff should be coming. Hopefully we'll start getting some articles on that. I'll admit I was telling some people the other day I haven't really been playing much X-Wing lately. One of the things that has really annoyed me is the hyperspace format, and I understand why it exists, and it's made me really not want to play. I think maybe the Clone Wars showing back up in X-Wing will fix that a little bit. Carl Duty, what's going on, sir? How are you? Long time no talk. Just talking about the yeah, but I feel like the Clone Wars will be a really good point to get into X-Wing, and I may like only play like the Republic. That may be like the only faction I play going forward when I do play X-Wing, and a lot of that is just because it will be like legal in every conceivable format at that point. It's like I don't really want to play stuff and get used to playing stuff that's only legal in some of the formats or only legal in extended. Because that feels like is this what I would do in Hearthstone, or when I would play Magic? I would try to focus on playing a lot of standard if hyperspace is the standard. kind of want to play, the game the way it's balanced at, and at least if you play Clone War factions, I think it's going to be balanced for that. And that's going to be the way the game is meant to be. And I will also never like have a list that I show up with and they'll say, oh, your list is illegal. Because in theory, everything in the Clone Wars should be legal. I mean, mostly everything. There may be like, I think even in the other new factions, I think the First Order still has one card that's not legal in hyperspace. So, who knows? But then there should be hopefully Clone Wars for Legion coming out, or at least being announced. So hopefully that will happen sometime soon. And then hopefully we'll get some Armada news, but not just articles on the SSD, but hopefully some kind of news on what's coming next. I'm really, really interested to see what's coming next. And that's got me kind of excited as well. There's that. And what else is new? I've got there's a lot of fun stuff coming up. So, some people have talked, they've seen this game Conan in the background before and like asked me if I've done any videos on it. I thought I had, but I guess I hadn't. I actually just played this one again the other day. Amazingly fun game. Super, super, super fun game. A game I need to play more often. And this one was, I believe, now Conan was from Monolith, but Monolith used to work with a company called Mythic. And Mythic contacted me because they worked on Mythic Battles. Pantheon, great game too. And Mythic is going to be sending me one of their Kickstarter games called Joan of Arc to take a look at. So I'll be looking at that. And I'm like, I wish more companies would be like, hey, we want to send you games so you can do a review. And I'm like, okay. I don't charge for reviews. People always ask me that too. They're like, especially if like I do a review and I'm really excited about a game, like a couple of things I've done I was really excited about. And people are like, how much do they pay you to do this review? You really need to say when you're getting paid for reviews. I'm like, I don't charge people for reviews. I don't have that many people. At any given point, I'd probably have maybe three or four things in the pipe that I've agreed to do reviews for that are coming, but they don't all show up in a timely manner. So I have a lot of I have a flexible enough schedule where I can afford to just do reviews for people. And it's nice because they send me stuff. So I was like, it's almost like free product. Granted, there's no condition that I'm going to do a really favorable review. And I usually tell people there's a caveat. And if I don't like your product, I won't do a review, or at least I'll let you know what I think needs to improve on it. And then, if you still want me to go ahead and publish a scathing review at that point, by all means, let me know. But all right, let me go to some questions because we got some questions here. So let's do some of the Q of the Q&A. How do you feel about Death Troopers? I think Death Troopers are going to be awesome. I think I'm afraid they might be too good. They may end up being like the best unit Legion has ever seen. So we'll have to see what all the upgrades make them actually cost and like how much, you're going to end up, because, well, you're going to like Death Troopers. That's all I can say about that. All right. Death Troopers are going to be great. What will you say is the absolute coolest Star Wars product you have checked out? You like the Yoda I was dueling with in my video. Thank you. The coolest Star Wars product was probably the Darth Vader helmet. But at the same time, it may be the Darth Vader helmet. It may be the riot control baton, but definitely this thing. The Mace Windu saber is easily the brightest of all of the sabers, and I absolutely love it. If you compare that to like how these red ones, like there's no comparison. No, the Mace Windu saber is like probably the coolest one. So out of the sabers, it's definitely Mace, but the Darth Vader helmet's really, really good. The only thing that would have really made it hit home is if it had a voice changer built into it. Like, I don't know why they didn't do that, and I guess if I was really savvy, I could probably add that, but yeah. Clone Wars for Legion battle droids. I'm sure they will have droids in the Clone Wars because that's, yeah. I'm sure they'll do battle droids. They'll probably do super battle droids. They'll probably do droidicas. They'll probably do the commander droids. They'll probably do lots and lots of droids. I mean, look at Battlefront 2 for just an idea. You know, for the types of stuff they'll do. I'm sure. Imagine clones and lats for Legion. Lats would be really cool. They're a little big though, but I think that would be very, very cool. I think they should totally do lats and treat them like helicopters. I mean, we've already seen the transport, right? So lats could be like maybe even closed, or would they be an open transport because they're half open, half closed? I don't know. Maybe there's two versions. Maybe they make two versions of lats, an open and a closed. Let's see. Clone Wars has been confirmed. Yes, for X-Wing and Legion. They said at Gen Con they were doing it for those two. I asked them at Gen Con what they were going to do with Clone Wars for Armada, and they kind of tiptoed around the question and said they might be up to something. It was basically one of those. Well, we don't know yet. We're going to see. I think they're probably toying around with the notion of doing an Armada 2.0, and maybe they're holding off on Clone Wars for that. I think that's a guess, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe they're, maybe they want to see how well Clone Wars sells in X-Wing. See how many people want, how many Clone Wars fans really, really do want to put their money where their mouth is. That's another guess, but that one makes a lot more financial sense. All right, let's see what else we got. Technically, the First Order and Resistance kits are fully hyperspace legal. I believe it, and it's also answered in here. But yeah, I believe the one card in the First Order biohexacrypt codes is the only card that's not legal. Just because I think they thought it was too powerful or something like that. But yeah. The release date for the Super Star Destroyer. There is none. They did say it was going to be first quarter, but things change. And I think, I think there could be two things that have kind of pushed for us not getting word yet. Could be licensor stuff. Maybe Lucasfilm didn't like something and there was a last minute change. But it also might have a lot to do with these tariffs that could have been impacting factories and the Chinese New Year, and there, a lot of things like that may have come into play. So I expect the Super Star Destroyer may be pushed back until maybe April. We'll see. I don't know yet. I want it now though, because I've been playing, I've played games with this the station, and then I've played games with this guy, the Bellator. And it's awesome. I love playing with giant stuff on the screen or on the tabletop. It's super, super cool. So yeah, I'm ready for that to be a thing. Really, really ready. How do you think FLG will launch Clone Wars for Legion? I think they will make an announcement, and then we'll have some more information. I mean, look at how they've done other things, right? It's hard to say because if you look at the past, they've done multiple different things. They launched some new factions for in X-Wing, but they've done them differently. So look at X-Wing with the Resistance and the First Order. They were just, first off, they included them in X-Wing 1.0, and then they made a new starter for that. But then in X-Wing 2.0, they included them as with conversion kits, but didn't make a starter. So they just said, all right, buy your original starter, and then just buy these new products. And then with Scum and Villainy for X-Wing 1.0, they had a quasi-starter, whereas it was that Most Wanted pack. So, but it wasn't a full-blown starter. And then it's kind of like how they're doing the Clone Wars now in X-Wing, is that it's you get this little combo pack, but it's not a starter, it's just a bundle pack. So we've seen examples where they do a bundle, and then we've seen examples where they do, a full-blown starter in X-Wing 1.0 for the Force Awakens core set. And then we've seen examples where they just say screw it, and like the First Order and Resistance and X-Wing 2.0, and just say no, just buy your new factions a la carte. Rune Wars did something similar where they had just they didn't have starters at all, but they did have that Essentials kit. So, you know, like I think just about every possible way of introducing a new faction FFG has done before. So they'll probably, my guess is maybe they'll do one of those or something new. All right, let's see. Do you think the Rebel Landspeeder is going to be a test bed for the Naboo Guard? Well, we did see them using a Landspeeder in episode 1. So I think that's possible. I think there's a lot of stuff that has crossover from the prequels to the Galactic Civil War. Look at Wookiee warriors, for example. Like Wookiees fought in the Clone Wars too in episode 3. There was a whole battle there. So I think there's a whole lot of opportunity for them to take something for one faction and duplicate it for another faction. Darth Sidious, for example. Obi-Wan Kenobi is technically in both eras, although maybe he'll have a different role. Like in the Clone Wars, he was a general, so I could see him being a commander, but in the Galactic Civil War, he probably would be an operative, right? Like so there's different ways that maybe characters could be in both. And the same thing goes for vehicles that could exist in both. The AT-RT is in the Galactic Civil War in Legion, but it would totally double in the Clone Wars because it was a leftover from the Clone Wars. Same thing goes for X-Wing. Like I expect to see Y-Wings in the Republic also, but I do expect them to look differently. So but the ARC 170 is a better example. So that one for both sides. I think there's a lot of things that could be in both, which would be kind of cool. And so like the Landspeeder wouldn't probably be the exact same one. They might go with a different model, like the one that I think they had on Naboo. But yeah, it could work similar. Rex for Legion, of course, that'd be awesome. Cody also. So there's a lot of Clone Wars characters I really want for Legion. I actually really want Darth Maul. I think Darth Maul would be awesome. Like, but then the question is like, do you do Maul or Darth Maul? You know, like maybe both. Maybe one. I feel like with Maul and Darth Maul, it would be that Maul would be the commander and Darth Maul would be the operative, right? If they were gonna do two, like which or which one do you do? Do you do the individual, like, because I think Darth Maul is the more go-to. I think you do Darth Maul, and I think you make him like Episode 1, double-bladed saber, still has his natural legs, and you make him an operative because he certainly wasn't a commander. But then if you want to do like the Mandalore or Crimson Dawn kind of Maul, then he's in more of a commander role at that point. But then also he might not be separatist. You know, he might have his own faction, which would be also really, really cool. So there's some interesting concepts that we can look at there. All right. Any board games not Star Wars related I would recommend? Well, that's a excellent. One of the things that I have done is I've rearranged in here a little bit. So I do some videos at my main PC, but I also do some videos here, and I've rearranged my area back here. And so, I do have the Armada stuff right here, and I built a lightsaber thing. If you haven't already, check out the video where I made this. I was so proud of myself. But I have some board games here, and I think this will be I'll be rotating out. But any games you see behind me here are ones that I'm a big fan of. So. Non-Star Wars, Conan, really, really cool. So Conan is like a hybrid Ameritrash and Euro that is a little bit like Dudes on a Map, kind of like a dungeon crawl, but it's scenario-driven, but it's not a campaign. That's one of the things I loved about this Conan game. is you can play it as a campaign if you want, but there's really no carryover from one mission to the next, so you don't have to get the same group of people and play all the time. You just pick a mission, open it up, and play it. Or you can even do a custom mission if you want. And while I did get the Kickstarter version that has a whole bunch of extra stuff, the core game doesn't use any. Like I've played it like 3 times now. Haven't even opened up the Kickstarter stuff, so I don't even care about all the Kickstarter stuff. So I'm telling you, with Conan, you buy the game off the shelf, you're getting a tremendous, phenomenally good game with a lot of replay. And the thing is, it's like a 1 versus many, so you can have 4 heroes versus the 1 overlord. Some people don't like that because it's not always fun to be the overlord, but in this game, it's super, super fun to be the overlord. And I say that from somebody who did not like playing the Empire in Imperial Assault. I don't generally like having to be that type of character. So, but Conan's super, super fun. Lords of Hellas, one of my favorite games of 2017. Absolutely love it, and hopefully next month they'll start shipping the rest of the Kickstarter stuff. But just this game by itself, super good, super good. Not as much replayability, but a decent amount of replayability. But the expansions, I think, are going to make it have tons more replayability. It's probably a game you'll play at least 5 or 6 times before you start to get tired of. Just because the factions, like the heroes, have different powers, but there's only 4 heroes in the core box, so you will eventually want to get expansions for that. Let's see, and Nemesis. I'm in love with Nemesis. Star Trek Ascendancy is really, really good too. I love Star Trek Ascendancy. I finally got to play a big game of Star Trek Ascendancy a couple weeks ago. Was super happy with that. It's hard to get that one because that one can take a long time. Given that Carl asks, given that FFG put a hard limit on how many ships you can have in a squad, do you think the Vulture droids will come in cheaper than the current cheapest ships point-wise? That's a really good question. I do think the Vulture droids will be cheaper than a TIE fighter. But I don't know if they'll be cheaper than the cheapest ship, only because I think it's the Escape Craft, or is it the Nashta Pup? That's the cheapest ship, but it's not the cheapest spammable ship. I think, I think they'll be the cheapest swarm ship. I think they'll be cheaper than a TIE fighter, but they'll eat. But I think also FFG can, because that limit is only in the printed rules, that they can totally change the limit. And so they can just be like, oh, okay, well, in rules update 1.7, you now can have up to 10, ships in a build. But I think the hard limit of 8 might be there to encourage you to still swarm, but have like a leader. So maybe like Dooku plus a swarm, so kind of like that for a swarm to be more of the supplementary force rather than the entire force. That's kind of my guess on how it'll go, but I don't know if they thought that far ahead. I've seen so many missteps in 2.0 as a whole that I feel like they may have just put that number out there because that was the max at the time. All right. Anyone want to see more Imperial Assault characters in Legion? I think that'd be kind of cool. I think since they've got so much artwork done already, it's pretty good. And honestly, the specialists pack, since you got all these like generic characters you're adding to the game, it's a perfect opportunity to continue to add more Imperial Assault characters. I want to see more Wookiees. To be honest, I want more Wookiees. I want to be able to run a Wookiee army, and you've got at least one more Wookiee in Imperial Assault. Karshik, or whatever his name is, I think. All right. Hey, what do you think to JJ and Chris? Will they deliver? I don't know who Chris is in this context. I think you're talking about JJ Abrams. My upcoming episode of the Skywalker. So episode 9, I think episode 9 is going to be awesome. I think the best thing about episode 9 is that JJ is back. Not that I had a problem with Rian Johnson. I just had a problem that Rian Johnson just was given one movie to do in the middle of somebody else's vision. I didn't feel that the two movies flowed together very well. They feel like episode 7 and episode 8 feel like they exist almost in two different universes. And I like them both, but they don't feel like they flow together. So I think, that 9, at least that they have JJ back, he can at least, because there's just so much stuff that I felt should have been addressed. So many things that were set up in 7 that were completely ignored in 8. Like, I still really, really, really want to know who the Knights of Ren are. I want to know something about Luke's other students at the academy, and I want to know who the Praetorian Guard were, and I want to know if all those 3 are the same, or if any of those 3 are the same. And I don't want that to be left completely up for the books to decide. I want something mentioned about it on screen. I want to know a little bit more about Snoke. I don't need to know everything there is to know about Snoke. You don't have to be like, in the middle of episode 9, it's like, oh yes, I do. Tell me more again about Master Snoke's or that other Supreme Leader's backstory. No, I don't need a full exposition on Snoke, but I would like something more about Snoke. Unless, of course, but that's one I'm more flexible on. I think at this point you can move on from that. I don't want Snoke to be like still alive though. But there's a lot of things that I want. I want a lot of fan service. I want things paid off. I wouldn't mind a funeral in episode 9. Although if it's taking place a full year afterwards, it might not be appropriate for like a funeral for Han and for Luke. Maybe they'll have a memorial. Maybe they'll reference if they do flashbacks or something like that. It's possible, but I'm glad that Lando's going to be in episode 9. I mean, I'm really, really, really glad about that. A lot of things I would love to see paid off. I'd love to see an Ahsoka cameo. I'd love to see an Ezra show up. I'd love to see a lot of that stuff. There's so many things that I want to see that I don't know if I'll be able to see. Do you know the box contents for the next wave of Battlestar Galactica Starship battles? You read that the ships don't come with control panels. So I'm going to guess that the ships don't come with control panels. So if you saw the video I did yesterday, and I'm guessing maybe you did, they listed that there's also a control panels expansion. And it seems that that's absolutely the direction that they are going. They're like, hey, if you want to play, a big game, you're going to have to buy these ships and the control panels. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I think I'm okay with it. And first off, I will concede. I think that this is just a money-making kind of thing because, like, if you want to add a ship to your game, you need a control panel also. Maybe their thought was this game will almost never be played with more than four ships. It's gonna at max it's gonna be 2 per side, and the control panels expansion is just if you want to expand into really really big games. Maybe like their plan is for Battlestar Galactica to strictly be like a 1v1 or a 2v2. And if that's the case, the core set has 4 control panels in it, so you're fine. And that's a good thing, yeah. If you don't already have the core set, it has 4 control panels. It doesn't only have 2, it has 4. So, and that's enough that you can really play some Battlestar Galactica. But, like, if you really want to run, like, a 4v4 or 5v5 or something like that, you're going to have to pick up some extra control panels. So, I could see that being a problem. But that has to be the case. I'm sure they don't come with control panels because there would be zero reason for them to sell a control panels expansion otherwise. Let's see. I should stain that shelf a darker color for my lightsabers. A lot of people have said that. Here's why I'm not going to do that. This shelf, I know it's light. I might spray paint it, but I'm not going to stain it because it's not wood. It's a cheap particle board shelf that a friend of mine was throwing out, and I said, hey, let me take that. It's just one of those, if you live in a neighborhood, sometimes people like throw stuff out, or sometimes people post on social media. Like in my neighborhood, we have like a local, like, hey, we're going to be getting rid of this. Does anybody want it before we put it out by the curb? Or sometimes people sell stuff they're getting rid of like real cheap, So this was one of those, I'll be honest. It was just, and that's why I didn't mind drilling holes in it. Because like if I ruin it, so be it. I'll, just, grab another one. But it's particle board with just that laminate over the top, so stain isn't going to work. I might spray paint it, though. It's a lot of work pulling all these ships off and not breaking anything to do that. So, yes. All right, let's see. Are there any Force FX Black Series lightsabers that have a removable blade? I don't think any of the new ones do. There was some older ones that are almost like these that had removable blades. A company that's not doing them anymore. There are, I believe, Ultra Sabers. I think all of theirs are removable. I think a lot of the aftermarket companies have those, but I don't have any of those. And hey, if they wanted to reach out to me, if they wanted to send me some for review, that would be awesome. If any of you guys know any of the folks at like Ultra Sabers or Vader's Vault or whatever, you should like, hey, you should have this guy do a review of your stuff. All right. What do I think of Cannot Get Your Ships Out's article? They proposed some changes to Armada, Aces, and upgrade cards. So I did not read that yet. I saw Cannot Get Your Ship Out posted an article earlier today. I was at work, and I cannot get to gaming blogs at work because they block gaming websites, anything that has the word game printed anywhere. So I come home on lunch and I try to catch up on stuff, but I did not. I saw the article was posted, except I can get to Reddit at work, which is bizarre. So I can go there, but I can't read the whole article. So if I had to design a Jar Jar Binks crew card for X-Wing, what would it do? It would be a dice roll that would be something catastrophic or something pretty good. The downside would be worse than the good side because it's a die roll. So it would be like when you can either do 2 damage to an opponent or 4 damage to yourself, depending on like basically the flip of a coin. So or maybe 2 damage to them or 3 damage to yourself, and he'd be like a character with like, I don't know, something like that. I don't know. All right. Why do the Jedi Padawans have the little hangy thing from their ear? That's called hair. They braid a piece of hair. I don't know why they have that hanging from their ear. I would imagine that's actually symbolic towards a lot of other cultures on Earth that symbolically keep hair short. But having one piece of hair is reminiscent maybe of where they came from before they cut their hair. I don't know. I haven't really done a lot of research into it, but it seems like it's a symbolic thing, and it is pretty cool. Also, it looks cool. What are my thoughts on the Battlefront series for EA, man? So I'm not gonna jump on the bandwagon of just slamming EA outright. I'm gonna say this: they've made a beautiful looking game. The graphics on Battlefront are impressive, are really impressive. I love that they've made a game that also spans all 3 timelines and does give you the option to, at least partially, mix and match those timelines. I love that I can take Darth Maul and have him fight along, the First Order. I absolutely love that because I think that's one of the things that video games are for, are to kind of have a little bit of fun with your fandom and kind of mix things up a little bit. I wish a lot more companies played nice with each other and took that ball even further, because I would really love a solid quality Star Wars versus Star Trek game. I think that would, before I die, I want to play like a really fleshed out and finely polished Star Wars versus Star Trek game. That would be amazing. But yeah, like, so EA's made a really beautiful game. It's great. That being said, they've made a beautiful game. Technically 2. They made Battlefront 1 and 2, but those are like pretty much the same game. It's just like a Battlefront 2 is almost like a patch of Battlefront 1. And how long have they had the license now? 5 years? They made a game in 5 years. Look how many games Fantasy Flight has made in that same time. Like 6. Come on, EA. Come on. Get on and they keep canceling, they keep shutting down other studios that are trying to make games. That's what drives me freaking crazy. We, as fans, have the money to spend on Star Wars products that we love. Just because another game comes out doesn't mean we're not going to buy this one. We're going to buy all of them. I mean, a lot of us will. Not everybody can afford to buy every game that comes out. But as a whole, a lot of Star Wars fans are older and have a decent amount of disposable income. Like, I will buy every freaking Star Wars game that ever comes out. As long as it's for something, except for mobile. I don't like mobile at all. I'm trying not to swear, but I want to throw some four-letter words down on mobile gaming. I hate mobile gaming. Hate mobile gaming. Most mobile gaming. I like Hearthstone on my phone. I like something that only takes like a minute and doesn't have a whole lot of fancy graphics that have to really load stuff up. Or something like Angry Birds was like the perfect mobile game for me, because it was stupid, it was mindless, and I could play it while I was pooping. That's what mobile game is. It's poop gaming. It's a game, and it should be short and quick, but the people keep trying to make these really Diablo for mobile is the stupidest thing I could even imagine. The absolute stupidest thing. No, that Diablo is a game I want to sit at my PC, with some pizza and soda or something like that, and play for hours, until 3 a.m, and then pass out. I love that. And Diablo just launched a new season, but I'm ranting on video games. That's why tabletop gaming is so much better. You actually talk to people and socialize, and you have something on your tabletop that's beautiful at the same time to keep everybody engaged. Is the Star Trek X-Wing game any good? The Star Trek Attack Wing? A lot of people really, really liked it. It had its faults. I didn't play it, but I was involved in the community enough to know that I loved the fact that there were multiple factions. I love that you could mix and match the factions if you wanted to. You could put Captain Picard on a Klingon ship, because that was in keeping with the show. They would do that from time to time. But from what I understand is they started to push product out too fast and weren't really playtesting things. So it fell into this tremendous power creep where the Borg were if you showed up to a tournament playing Borg, it was just miserable. So competitively, it really became very poor because it was just too I think the best way to play it now, if you're doing that, is play with a friend and just kind of agree, hey, you know what, let's not take it too competitively. Let's just play something thematic and have fun with it. And but there's not enough people still left playing it. What am I most excited about in Clone Wars? I think I talked about this already. Probably Darth Maul. I wanted to see Darth Maul in the Clone Wars, even though he wasn't in the Clone Wars. He might not be one of the first characters they released for Clone Wars, because he's not really representative of the Clone Wars. So he might, but I want to see Darth Maul. And AT-AT would be amazing. I would love to see. So I posted in, there's a Legion Discord. I don't know if you guys use Discord at all, but I have one. They have them for a lot of different games. And if you're wondering why I have my own Discord, it's a funny story, because I guess there weren't always Discords for all these other games, and a lot of people used to ask me to make a Discord. So one day I did. And then, I think a month or two later, all of a sudden Discords started popping up for all the other Fantasy Flight games. So I think, at least from what I can gather, I think mine was first. And then a lot of them other ones showed up. I mean, I just put mine up because a lot of people wanted me to make one, so that's why it's there. But anyway, there's a Legion Discord, and that one's really popping. It's very, very popular. And I was talking in there last night about the old AT-AT or AT-AT toy. Back when you were a kid, if you're old like me, there was an age where every toy had one or two big box toys that went with the toy line. He-Man had Castle Grayskull. The Thundercats had the Cat's Lair. Awesome too, by the way. It was an awesome toy. And for Star Wars, it was the AT-AT, this big box. I never got the AT-AT, but but my friends, I was kind of poor. I didn't have a lot of big toys. For Star Wars, the only vehicle I had was a Lambda. And it was this small little Lambda. It wasn't even a Lambda. It was they came up with these budget for poor kids toys where you could fit one character in this little Lambda, and it had these tiny little wings, and it was about the size of a bird, a small bird. And if you can hear that, we got trash truck is outside picking up the garbage. But yeah, but I missed the big toys. I missed those big toys, and they were awesome. And I would hope that an AT-AT for Legion would come in this huge box, and it would give you that feeling of being a kid and ripping open this giant toy, and we're like, oh, this is gonna be so awesome, because that's kind of what I'm doing, is I'm reliving that childhood. And yeah, I need to probably wrap this up soon. Am I into Star Wars Lego? No, no, I never got into Star Wars Lego. I want to, but I just don't have the room. I mean, you can see a little bit behind me. I try to, put a lot of my toys out, but I just don't have room for them. I had to put all my X-Wing stuff away, most of it. I kept the big ships out. They're up here. I still have the big ships out, but I put all the other X-Wing stuff away because I just needed more room, and I have more games coming, and I'm running out of room for everything. So, yeah, that's one of those things when you back a lot of stuff on Kickstarter, you order these, and like, oh, this is another one I want to play more. I'm going to turn things sideways a little bit. Massive Darkness right here. It has a lot of expansions. I don't know if you guys have ever played Massive Darkness. It's got like all of these. I got a lot of expansions for it. And I didn't even get everything for Massive Darkness, but that one takes up like almost a whole shelf. Favorite Armada squadron? It's the TIE fighter dude that you can't shoot him if there's another squadron nearby. Oh gosh, he was in TIE Advanced as well. Aaron. Valen Rudor, favorite Armada squadron, because he can turn heavy squadrons into escorts, basically. Fly them with lambdas and turn those lambdas into beasts. All right. Yeah. All right. I think I probably need to start wrapping things up. Yeah, I do like the idea of Legos, though. I just don't have a place for them, so I'm not even diving down that rabbit hole, because I would probably want to get everything, and once I bought everything that was on the store shelves, then I would probably go to eBay trying to find all the classics and the things that I like to, looking to try to recreate the Battle of Hoth in my garage, and it would not be good. I do have a lot of Black Series stuff, though, and I know some people were talking about Thrawn. I still have my Thrawn box. This is the only one I've saved the box for, although it's got a little messed up. But it had a sleeve that went around it. But I'll show you guys here. I may actually do a proper video on this one of these days. But it opens up and it has all this cool stuff. It's got the Islamir in here. It's got like this Jedi Temple mask. It's got an extra lightsaber. It's got some artifacts here. It's got Hera's Kalikori, and it's super, super cool. Probably do a review on that sometime soon. Hopefully, but the Black Series alone is taking up a whole bunch of room. I can't even keep all those on display anymore. I used to have those behind me too, but as more board games show up, just have a hard time, having room for everything. All right. Well, if I ever do a video about Massive Darkness, I want to play it some more because I forget how to play that, and that is a problem when you have games that you haven't played in a long time. You just totally forget how to play. I really want to play Massive Darkness. I want to run, because that one is campaign based though. So in theory, I could run a solo campaign. Maybe I'll take like 2 characters, play both of them, run that campaign and level them up. Like maybe at least 3 adventures. I've been doing some reorganization, and that's the problem. I need to do a lot of. I would love to get or moving. Moving would be awesome too. You work for CMON. Well, CMON is, I will tell you this. CMON was one of those companies I used to want to back every single thing that they came out with. And CMON has some of my favorite games. Zombicide, the Black Plague series, Black Plague and Green Horde, the perfection of the series, in my opinion. And, I absolutely love Zombicide. And I love it with my kids. But I feel lately that CMON's kind of gone downhill somehow, and hopefully it's a trend that stops, because you guys can make amazing games and I want you to keep doing it. But CMON has just had a lot of Kickstarters that have me feeling like underwhelmed. Like especially this next one, this Munchkin one doesn't interest me at all. And a lot of the last couple that have come out just seem, I don't know. I don't want it to sound like I'm attacking CMON, but I feel like things haven't been up to where they used to be. Now, at the same time, you guys also had my absolute favorite game last year, and that was Rising Sun. I'm totally in love with Rising Sun, and I backed Blood Rage because I missed out originally on Blood Rage, so I did back the recent Blood Rage, and was able to kind of go all in on that and get all the stuff that I missed out on, or at least the new versions of it. So I'm excited to actually, and I've never even played Blood Rage, and I know, like, I love Ameritrash and games with minis and stuff like that, and I know everybody tells me, like, dude, you haven't played Blood Rage yet? You're going to love it. So I'm like, I can't wait to actually sit down and play it, because that's one of those games that is a lot of people's favorite game, and I'm eagerly looking forward to that. But I would love to see more games like that from CMON, more games that are like 3 to 5 or 2 to 5 player games, like more multiplayer games that have a winner that aren't strictly co-ops. I get tired of co-ops, and a little bit more about but this is just CMON games. I also sometimes feel like they're more about the minis than the gameplay, and not campaign driven stuff. Let's have a winner. Winner is at the end of like an hour and a half. There's a winner. So, I don't know, but that's just me. Do you think Legion will see the TX-130T fighter tank added? Is that the one from Imperial Assault? If so, yes, I think they will add that. If not, I don't know what it is. And then maybe. Then your guess is as good as mine. But tanks, more tanks would be cool. Like we've got the one tank coming from Rogue One, so more tanks is a good thing. Although infantry, Legion is more about infantry than about other stuff. So I don't know how many tanks they will do, but All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap it up, and I will see you guys soon. I just want to do a little live stream. I don't know if there's been any news from Fantasy Flight since I've been doing this, but usually on Friday when they do post stuff, it comes out like after lunch. I'm guessing in about 3 or 4 hours we'll get some kind of article from FFG if they're going to do a big Friday article. What'll happen is, like, I'm home on lunch right now, so I could actually record something if they had released it, but they'll wait for my lunch break to be over, and that's when they'll release something, and I won't be able to even look at it for like 3 hours. So that's what'll probably happen. But I will talk to you guys later, and thank you so much for hanging out with me and tuning in. And yes, Ewoks for Legion would be amazing. All right, guys, thanks so much.